Hey folks, I'm going to do another belt video, but I'm not doing the whole belt. This one is going to be a diagonal basket stamp on it. So really that's all I'm going to show you is how I do the diagonal basket stamp. How I do it a little different than a lot of people do. So I'm going to show you a little bit right now. On the end where the buckle goes, you have to pick a spot to end it. So I'm going to end it right here. I've got a line drawn. I will cut a swivel line in there with cut a line in there with my swivel knife, and that will get beveled at the end. A lot of people will run their basket stamp all the way to the end. I do not. I am about an inch from the end of this hole to the line that I have drawn there, which is the same as the tip of the belt. I just moved my template up here and drew it in. I'll cut a line in there, and that will also get beveled at the end. And that's how I do my end, because really down here it's not going to make that much difference, but I'd just like to end it there. That way if I decide I'm going to carve initials in the end, something like that, I can do it. I don't have to think about it ahead of time. You know, I just do it when I'm ready to do it. So I'm just going to put it down on the bench here, show you how I set up to do it, show you the jig that I made, and we'll get after it. So this is my jig. I have another pattern that I do, and I should just look for those real quick, what I did with those. Doggone it, I hate when I lose stuff. I didn't lose it, I just put it somewhere where I can't remember where I put it. Oh well. I have this set up for doing a different pattern that I run, but I use it for the diagonal as well. And it just basically, I just set it on the belt. There's a piece in the back here that is at a 45 with the edges, and I can just set that there, and I can use this. I can either use this as a guide or not use it as a guide. Oops, that in frame a little better there. So I can use it as a guide, and I can just place my basket stamp right up against it and stamp it, or not. I'm going to put the other camera on up above the bench here too, so that I've got two cameras running, and we'll see how that goes. Maybe we'll get better. One of them should show a little better, I think. That's my hope. I don't ever start on one end or the other. I kind of start in the middle, or a few inches away from one end or the other, and that always works pretty good for me. So the first thing I want to do real quick is grab a swivel knife and cut those lines in at the very end. I'm only going up to my stitch line now. Hopefully you can see there. I can't. Hopefully you can see here that you don't quite meet in the middle there. That's okay. We'll meet them with the beveler. When I bevel that, we'll bring it to meet. Let me cover up my blade here. And I'm just gonna start probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches down here. And it doesn't, sometimes I'll put a mark down the middle here just for a couple inches. Just gives me a little reference point. So I'm just going to put my tool up against my jig here, go right with the bottom of the leg, right against the line. And then once I've got that set, I can not worry about the jig anymore. and just smack it a couple times with the mallet. This is a 24 ounce Berry King mallet, maul. This is a maul, not a mallet. I like this for doing basket stamps. I get a good deep impression. First time, every time. And when you're doing your basket stamp, I'm going to go on the upside of this one. So I'll drop one leg into the other leg here. Get that set, and then I'll run my jig up here. And that will place me at exactly the right angle to stay with the rest of the pattern here. And for a start, you can kind of see that it's just a good start. They're all looking like they're at the same angle. They all look pretty good. I can go up, kind of work the other direction a little bit. When you've got two legs that you can get into, you really don't need the jig anymore to line that up, because you've got the two legs there. And a lot of times I'll go through, I'll do everything that I can use a full stamp on, and then I'll come back at the end and I'll go by and I'll do all the partial stamps, and I'll show you those when I get to that. Right now I'm going to go and I'll stamp out a bit, and then I'll come back a little later and show you some more. So now I got to start filling in these spots where it's just partial. And when you go to do that, I like to do it towards me so I can see what my tool is doing on this side. Because you're not going to use the whole tool, you got to kind of lean it in different directions to get that impression so it doesn't cross your stitch line there. So I'm not going to use this big ass 24 ounce maul. We'll switch it out to an old Odin 16 ounce maul. I don't think I've done it. I haven't done much for reviews on tools. This thing's pretty slick. The grooves in it are a little more aggressive than the ones in the Berry King maul, but I like this. It's pretty slick. So most of my legs are already cut in, and I'm just using that camera now. And hopefully this will come out okay. So most of them I can get in here, I can do this. I don't necessarily need my guide. Sometimes I'll use it yet, just to kind of give me an idea of where I'm going. especially when I can only get one leg in there. Not when I didn't even get much in there. You do want to make sure you're working a little closer to your weight, because stuff is going to kind of move around. So I'm going to keep it close to where I'm working. Here I've got two legs that I can drop into here where I can make my impression. And there again, I'll just verify with my maul, but I'm past my stitch line by a good 1/16, almost an eighth of an inch anyway. So I'm going to keep my tool leaned back, and then I'm going to lean over. Just want to get some of that basket impression and some of that other leg. Most of it's going to get covered when I go around with my veiner. I'm going to use a little bit bigger veiner, I think. This is a Craft Tool V707. Got double stamped, so it's hard to read. I don't usually have to read the numbers on them, I just kind of grab them and go. So I got my little bit of an impression there. This one probably won't be much of an impression at all, but I can only get one leg in there. It just kind of gives it that little extra look of completion there. And I try not to get past my stitch line. Like I said, most of it you're not going to notice if you do, but it happens from time to time. Here again, I got one leg that I can get into good, the other one not so much. So we'll just get what we can there. Probably could just skip over those, but I like to at least make an attempt. And it just kind of fills in those spots. When I go along with the veiner, it's not going to make that much difference anyway. But I want to fill them in. When you get bigger spots like these over here, you need to fill those in, because they're almost a full tool. They're close to a full tool. So I want to make sure those get filled in. These along the bottom, it's just, oh, excuse me. It's kind of time consuming, but I think it's a necessary step. I know there's going to be a lot of people that say, well, I'm using a jig, that's cheating. Yeah, probably is. I don't care. And if you've got a way that works better doing this, drop it down in the comments. I'd like to hear it. Better yet, if you got a video, I'd like to see it. So this is the diagonal basket stamp. I've got a couple of different borders on here. This is the veiner that I used on the first belt that I made for this customer. I think I'm going to use a little bit bigger veiner on it, on this one, just because. And this is what color it's going to be. So that's what this one's going to look like. I actually think, oh, that's the stamp I used. So some of the other patterns, this is just a same basket stamp or basket tool, just going a long way. This is walnut. I like most of these browns, that's why I still use them. This is the Feebing's dark brown, and that's just, I don't know, I saw that pattern somewhere. I decided to do my best to replicate it when I saw it, and I kind of like it. But that's got a groove cut in it, and then you put the stitch groove in it in the open space along the edges there. That one looks pretty cool. Looks really cool if in black, but that's why I like the dark brown on it. Looks pretty cool. That is a pretty labor-intensive process, and that's why my jig here is angled 2 different directions, just for that one. That's just another diagonal, and this one's got a stitch line and a bevel, a groove cut in here for the bevel. So just a few different options, and that's just kind of the way I like doing them. Oh man, not been getting a lot of sleep lately. So there's a few options. I like to do samples like this, that way my customers can see what I got, what I do, the ones that come into the shop here anyway, or I have pictures of the same samples. So on the backs I have which stamps they used, which basket stamp, just kind of written on them, and you can almost read some of them. This one is a Hidecrafter PB012. There are actually 4 of them in this set. I think to go 011, 012, 013, and 014. I like it. It's a pretty steep bevel, but I do like it, and I use it a lot. Hold that still. So it doesn't take much to get that bevel cut in there. I like to start on my point end when I start with the using my border. This time I'm just using a veiner. You can use different combinations too. You can use like a veiner and a mule's foot, a veiner and just a seed. So you could do veiner, seed, kind of down the road. You can do that with camouflage tools. You can do all kinds of things. Your creativity is all that limits what you can do. So I'm going to drop one right here. It's almost too big. It's almost too big. I'm just going to have to go with the smaller one. But you have to be a little careful when you do it, because if you have too big a maul on it, you're going to get too deep an impression. So I'd rather use a smaller maul and hit it a little harder. So it looks like I can get 2 here, and then I can just start heading up. And I try not to get them touching. I'm going to leave just a little bit of space between them. So there's just a slight gap between each one. That's just the way I like to do it. I'm going to flip this around and start the other side. Time that air conditioner kicks on, it just dims the lights a little bit. But today is one of those days. The heat index was over 100 here in silly little southern Minnesota. And when I get close to the other end, I'll bring you back. I'm just going to go down both sides this way. When I get to about 3 or 4 inches of the end, I'll show you how to kind of account for seeing how close we are. So I've got what looks to be probably 3 more impressions here, and I'm just going to kind of make a little real light impression. And it looks like if I put them in there and I get them closer together, I can get 3 in there. So we'll do 1 from each end. And we'll just put 1 in the middle. That actually came out pretty good. Do the same over here. I think that's going to work out about the same. You're never going to get both sides to be exactly the same. And you're not going to get perfect every time. So don't try. It's kind of my motto. You need to get it to look decent. I think right here, a very decent looking basket stamp. And it's 8 o'clock. That means it's time for me to go in. Take my pills, and I should probably go to bed because I got to work early. But there you go. I'm going to peel my tape off because this bad boy is tooled or stamped, or whatever you want to call it. Some people get sticky about that. I'm going to call it tooled. It is time consuming. I will say I started on this at about 5:30, maybe 6. I've got a good 2.5 hours into the basket stamp and the camouflage, or the camouflage border. I like the way it came out on the tip. Come out pretty good. On the end here, I just end it there. Alrighty folks, that's it. I got my maker's mark, made in USA. Get those stamps from Leather Stamp Maker, so check them out. I'll leave a link to whatever, I'll do the linky thingy down there. The basket stamp came out pretty good. You're never going to get perfect. I don't care how long you've been doing basket stamping. You're never going to have it perfect every time. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. You'll slip a little with the tool or what have you. But it comes out pretty good. I think this came out real well. This one's going to be dyed brown. It's going to an existing customer. This is the second belt they've ordered from me. So I also did another project. That video is coming soon. That was a little restoration project. So the tools I used will be listed down below. The Odin Maul is very handy. The Berry King tools, I'm not even going to bother linking them. They're really hard to get right now. So otherwise I probably would have bought another Berry King maul, just because I really like that maul and I want one to match. But this is a really nice maul. I like it almost, I want to say almost as much as the Berry King, and it's about half the price. Anyway, shouldn't say that. But the veiner I used was the V745 craft tool, the Hydecrafter bevel PB012, and the X500-2 basket stamp. I'll leave affiliate links down below, hopefully, to all those. It's my Amazon store. It makes a few bucks for the channel so I can keep making videos like these. And if you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I appreciate that. Drop a comment down below. Tell me about other methods of basket stamping. I've seen a lot of them. This one works well for me. I like my little jig. Works pretty well. It's just two 45-degree angles and a little extra piece here, so I got something to go up against the edge. It's probably took me 20 minutes one afternoon to make it, and it works really well. So check all that out. I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Stay safe. God bless. I'll catch you in the next video.